I'm Lola Riz, and this is Watching and Reading. I'm here to review a book, Family Ties by Nativia, and this is the third book in the Don't Come Looking for Love book series. Book 2 ended as where Britain's father, Lenny, and her older brother that she didn't know of came to meet her in the house and held her hostage, saying that they want to see Oshe because they know that Oshe will know where Kenji is. Now, Kenji kind of like got information that was what Lenny was planning to do, was planning to use Oshe as bait to get him. Kenji was driving towards where Oshe was to be by his side when when Oshe is going to meet Lenny, right? So Kenji and Oshe were both speaking on the phone as Kenji was driving. And when Oshe opened the door to the house, he heard gunshots, and Kenji kind of assumed that it was Oshe that got shot. So speeding to get to his brother, right, he got involved in an accident. That's where book 2 ends. So book 3 just picks up from there. We now see in book 3 that Oshe wasn't actually hit, although he was shot at, but he wasn't hit. Lenny and Fitz is Britain's older brother. So Lenny and Fitz actually get away because while they were trying to unalive Oshe, right, Kenji's brothers from his own father, also came around to save Oshe. Sorry, you just had to read book 2 to understand what this part I'm talking about. So they came to save Oshe, so Oshe didn't get hit. Now, the shock of the whole situation, like Britain having her father take her hostage and the shootout and everything, the shock of the whole situation caused Britain to get into labor. Oshe and the one of Kenji's brothers was actually confused. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to help her out. It was Corey, Kenji's brother, that actually helped Britain to deliver her baby, and Britain had a baby boy who they named Kenzie. So Kenji wakes up at the hospital to see his father, his brother, like his whole family by his side, and he survived the accident, right? He was told that Oshe wasn't killed, and he was told that he has a nephew now. Kenji, gets all right, and once he leaves the hospital, he starts to have a relationship with his father and his brothers. Royal and Corey, Kenji's brothers from his father's side, right? Kenji starts to have this relationship with them, and they to start to put him through on how to handle his relationship with Lativia. Because at this point, he and Lativia are still having this off and on because of all the street stuff. So they started to give Kenji advice on how to handle relationships with Lativia. And Kenji, starts to take the advice. And it starts to work out for him. So this advice that his brothers give him actually helped him out, and he's able to settle things with Lativia once and for all. Now, Osha is on the lookout for Lenny and Fitz because of what they did to Britain and how they put her in harm's way. Then Osha is also getting blackmailed by his former publicist. The former publicist that was encouraging Jordan to force a relationship on Osha. So this person starts to blackmail Osha. And it gets so much that the publicist even sends messages to Britain, telling Britain that they're having an affair, just all this kind of lies just to break up Osha and Britain, right? So the blackmail was becoming too much for Osha. He couldn't handle it. Osha just went out to tell Kenji's brother Royal about the whole thing. And so we later see that Osha too is beginning to have a relationship with Kenji's brothers, and he's actually closer to Royal than Corey. So he just goes out, confesses the whole thing to Royal, like this is what his publicist is doing, blackmailing him and stuff. And Royal tells him not to worry, it's going to be sorted out. And yes, Royal did sort it out. The publicist actually turns up unalive in a special way. So after the unaliving of the publicist, right, Britain receives a video on her phone. And in that video, she sees Shia. Shia is like 9 years old now, right? So in that video, Britain is seeing her 9-year-old daughter posing nude. And there's no parent who's going to see that counting and not be distraught. Like, Britain is actually distraught. She lets Oshe know about this. After Britain lets Oshe know, right, Oshe tells Kenji and the family about all of this. So everybody starts to investigate how Shia is in that kind of compromising position. They go around, they check the house, and they see that Oshe's house is actually bugged with a lot of cameras, right? Then Oshe calls his daughter to ask her, like, do you know that anybody recorded you nude? And the daughter says yes. And Oshe just like, okay, tell me who it is. And Shia just confesses that it's the bodyguard that her father gave her. That's Domo. Shia being a celebrity, right? He gave a bodyguard detail to his daughter. So it's that bodyguard that takes the daughter to wherever she wants to go to. And his daughter had this friend that she goes over to her house to have sleepovers and all that. So it's this bodyguard that takes her there and brings her back. Shia then confesses that it was the bodyguard that got her to pose nude. And the bodyguard told her that if she did that, she would be popular like her mom, who is a model, because Britain is actually a model. That's why if she did that, she would be as popular as her mom. The guy said he wants to help her in her career. And oh my God, Oshe gets mad after hearing this. He tells the family, everybody knows about it. So they leave Shia and Kenzie with Geraldine, their grandmother, right? And all of them, they just go up to Domo's house. They meet Domo, they meet his wife, and that's where they discover that Shia's friend, where she's always having sleepovers, that Shia's friend is actually Dumo's daughter. So that means Dumo actually takes Shia to his house. And it was there they realized that it was in his house, in Dumo's house, that he made that video of Shia. Oh my God, when they got there and they saw Dumo and his wife, the family gave Dumo and his wife the beating of their life. Like they just all pounced on Dumo. The men pounced on Dumo, the women pounced on Dumo's wife, gave them serious beating. And then that's when someone came to tell them that like the police was coming, they could hear police sirens, and everybody just jumped into their respective cars and drove off, ran away. In the end, Domo did not survive that beating, but his wife happened to be paralyzed. It was that bad. Like, like I said again, this author Nativia is very good at penning down emotions. I felt it. I felt the emotion while reading it, and it's just honestly, it's just so sick. Like, why a grown ass man would want to have that kind of video of a child on his phone and then use it to blackmail the parents? Like, people are sick. Honestly, people are really, really sick. And again, another thing that this book is really bringing light to is the fact that parents cannot be they cannot be too careful with their children. That's what this author is trying to just say here. Parents can never be too careful with their children. You can never really trust anybody around a child. So that I really, really love that this part was written in this book, right? Samir, one of the twin cousins, Samir started to date Lativia's cousin, Lulu, right? Because of course he was pissed at his baby mama with the drama that the baby mama was having with his own brother. So he just decided to start dating Lativia's cousin, right? And they were just it first started like as if it was some sort of joke, like they were not really serious, but after some time they just really, really got into it. And that baby mama that is playing games with Samir and Jamil actually shows up and is trying to threaten Lulu. Like it was just a crazy time for Samir and Lulu, right? But anyway, Lulu gets pregnant for Samir. There was this part where Kenji's family was having a family gathering, family celebration, right? That's Kenji's family from his mother's side. Kenji attended. It's at that family celebration that they meet one of the other cousins, Gary. They don't start calling him, oh Gary, oh Gary. I just assumed that so Gary is like Gary, right? But it was later described that Gary is actually Tatalicious. So Gary is they were calling him drag queen. But the thing is that Gary is actually a trans woman. But because they are guys and they are good guys, they refuse to acknowledge him as a trans woman. So they were just calling him a drag queen, and they didn't call him Tatalicious. They were calling him his first name, Gary, right? It's at this family celebration that Jamira and Samuel now like physically go at each other. They're insulting each other because of this baby mama issue. Like Jamil believes that the baby mama is lying to him and that child is his. But Samir knows that the baby mama is full of right. Oh, but they fight, they start to insult each other and all that. And Samir cannot take it any longer. Samir then spills that he cannot believe that his twin brother will do that to him, will betray him like that after he rescued his twin brother from their father who was molesting him. And it's like, everybody was just quiet on hearing that. Jamil got pissed that Samir actually revealed his secret to the whole family. So he got pissed, he left, and he wanted his brother to watch his back. Samir is actually the stronger twin out of the two of them. He's more masculine and all of that stuff. Samir decides to take his daughter, the daughter that he had with a different baby mama. He decides to take his daughter to the salon to get her hair done. And at the salon, he meets Gary. And Gary is also one of the hairdressers. And he's just like, oh, Gary, you are here. Okay, you're doing lady things. That kind of stuff. After Samir's daughter's hair is done, they leave the hair salon. They get into the car. And then that's when Gary just comes to meet Samir there. And it's from there we realize that Gary he has just had it with all these jokes that Samir is always cracking around him. And Gary just gets angry and reveals it to him and says he doesn't know why Samir is always making fun of him. That did Samir not notice that he was actually more masculine when they were younger? What had happened to him was that Samir's father actually molested Gary as well. One day when Gary came to visit the twins, right? So he got molested by, I think Gary said it was at night when they were all sleeping. Samir's father came there to molest him in his room. And ever since then, he has never been the same. So that was what had made him to become the tatalicious that he is today. On hearing that, right, Samir is pissed all over again at his father because he's actually in shock, realizing that the father was actually going around molesting young boys, right, when they were younger. So what Samir does is that he just goes to the elderly people's home because his father is actually staying at an elderly people's home. He goes there, he sees his father in a wheelchair. So we are now told what had happened. After Samir caught the father molesting Jamil, right, Samir beat up his dad, and that's how his dad became crippled. So that's why his father is in a wheelchair. So going there, he saw his father, and he told his father what Gary had just told him. And the father confessed that it is actually true. And Samir was just like, he just had to ask his father, like what is it with you? Why were you always molesting young boys? And he said he picked on those boys because they were actually weaker, and he too, as a man, is weak. He doesn't know what comes over him that he preferred to molest children instead of being with fellow adults like himself, right? Like Samuel was also disappointed. He didn't even know the next thing to say, and his father made it worse by saying, "I love you, son." Oh my God, that just got to Samuel, and he gave his father another fresh beating. He beat the hell out of his father again because of what the father had done to Gary and because of what the father just said to him. Jamil goes back to that baby mama who was playing here and his twin brother, right? And he kept insisting to the baby mama that that child is his, not for the outsider, not for his brother. And the baby mama too playing along was like, yes, it's your child, it's not for that person and all that. As Sammy was like just done with the whole thing. The fact that his brother actually threatened him and told him to watch his back, it made him to lose interest in Jamie. So he just let Jamie be. Jamie can do whatever he wants to do. He will do whatever he wants to do. Jamie just never let go of that baby mama. The baby mama is Nashi, so Jamie just refused to let go of Nashi. He was always around her. It was almost like he was trying to force the relationship on her and trying to force the paternity on the child. On this particular day, the real father of the child comes. He meets Jamil in the house. They start to have these fights and very big arguments, and a shot was fired and it hit Jamil. By the time the information got back to Samir, and they rushed Jamil to the hospital. They discovered at the hospital that Jamil is unalived. It was just so sad, so sad. Like again, this is another thing. This is another topic that I like that the book touched on. I like that this book actually touched on this molestation of young children, right? Like Shah's case, was a different one, and Samir's father's case is also a different one. And I like that it showed how molesting a child can later affect them in adulthood. Like in the case of Gary now, Gary then, because of the molestation and stuff, because he was not really sure about his identity and who he was. That's why he turned around to be a trans woman. According to the book, I don't want to receive any bashing. According to this story, and in the case of Jamil, because the father molested him, Jamil too felt like he was less of a man as compared to his twin brother who never underwent molestation, right? So you could see it from the relationship between the twins that Jamil was always trying to prove his masculinity, sort of. So that's why he was forcing a relationship on Nashi, forcing paternity on Nashi's child. You understand? That's why he even snatched Nashi from Samuel. He was trying to prove that he too is man enough. Like whatever Samuel can do, he can do it as well, and even better. So that's how it affected him. So I really like that. That's what this book showed, like how child molestation can affect that person, the person that was molested, when they get into adulthood. So it was just a very, very. I really like this author. This author knows how to paint their emotions, right? So Cousin Shine starts with it. Tija. Now the issue that Shine has is this. Shine's mom married a very wealthy man, right? And so the man, and she had Shine for that man. Shine is the only child. So the man gets old and unalive, and he leaves everything that he ever has, or he leaves everything that he has to Shine. So Shine is actually like the richest cousin among them all, right? Because he has this chain of hotels that the father left to him in inheritance. Shine's mother wants him to marry into upper class, right? Not hood class. She's always trying to matchmake him with girls from very wealthy families, especially white girls from very, very white, wealthy families. And Shine doesn't want that. Like Shine he wants to feel like he's a man who is making decision on his own. So he wants to choose who he'll be with. Now, it's not like as if Shine actually really liked Tija like that. But the fact that Tija is the person that he has chosen, that's why he just decided to stay with the relationship. And the mother warned him not to get close to Tija. He refused to listen. The mother tried her best to come in between their relationship. It just did not work. Shine was stubborn and Tija was stubborn as well. And then the mother attempted to unalive Tija. And that's where everything went downhill. Then Kenji was actually able to successfully get out of the street business. That's after Lenny has been sorted out and Fitz and all the other people that after his life. After they don't be sorted out, he was able to leave the streets business, right, and start to do more legit things. So Kenji started to run a chain of restaurants, right? And because Lativia had actually seen that he truly has left street business and he's doing something more decent, she decided to come back to him, and then they decided to continue to grow their family. Roger ends up marrying Britain, NJ ends up marrying Lativia, Shine ends up marrying Tija, and Samir ends up marrying Lulu. The conclusion of the book is that the Roger, Kenji, Shine, Samir, they all sit down and think back on their life and think about how they all started and where they've got into, and they are really grateful for where they are. They are all grown men. They all have their own families. They are living happy. No one is after their life, and they are just really appreciative of all of that. So that's how book 3 ends. So that's that for this review. I just advise, right? If you are really into hood hood stories, hood romances. I really, really like this series. I enjoyed reading it, and I recommend that you get it and you read it as well. So that's that for this review. See you in the next one. Bye.